Hi guys. I guess this is my introductory video. I just wanted to make this channel to kind of continue to try and explain and spread awareness and symptoms and understanding and maybe even further research and continue to expand and improve the support community for people that have various what they, commonly referred to as invisible illnesses, and just because can't see it doesn't mean you're not suffering it. And just because maybe once upon a time you were completely different and way better and somewhat, almost a different person, doesn't mean that what you are experiencing now is not valid and not true. Some of these conditions are just kind of lurking dormant in our bodies and in our nervous system, in our brain, and then something happens and it can trigger it, and then congratulations, now you get to have a new reality. So I have been watching vlogs and other YouTube channels of many other people who have EDS, hypermobility, fibromyalgia, suffering really similar issues, and they were basically the key to me kind of getting an understanding and feeling less alone and being able to maybe find the right words to explain something so that somebody can understand it better, even especially doctors. Like, I had to do so much research because I can't think of the word to explain it, to really get them to understand what I'm experiencing. So I have to, I use I use all these channels, and so it's like a thesaurus. I need something to help me explain it in the right way so that they can really understand what it is, so we can hopefully get to the right answer. I have suffered a variety of symptoms my entire life, but growing up when we were younger, it was just, we don't know. We don't know. I was a medical pincushion. I was the weird one, let's test this out and see what happens. And oh, maybe this, and oh, maybe that. I've been like a research guinea pig my whole life. And so have my sisters. And even my mother, in the last few years, after, discussing a lot of this stuff, as I'm getting more of a result and more answers, and as an adult, and I discuss it, my mother grew up suffering these things. But, back in those days especially, nobody believes it. Nobody thinks it's a real issue. It's either normal life, growing pains, growing up issues, or you're being dramatic, or you're making it up for attention, or it's all in your head and you need psychological help and not physical. Now, I will grant there is a huge mental health and psychological component to a lot of these illnesses, but it is not the whole answer, and they are not just made up in your brain, but also focusing on not just physical health, but mental health and help can really make a huge difference in your quality of life. I'm 37 years old, and I spend quarter of my time sitting in a wheelchair, and then other times I'm in the trampoline park playing with my son. And I was in the Navy for 11 years, and I traveled the world, and I lived on a ship, and I did all kinds of amazing things. I was an amateur, very short-lived competitive kickboxer for a while. I used to be a fitness coordinator, and I was the one that was designing and working on adaptive exercise programs and nutrition programs for people who were out of standards or who had illnesses or injuries. And the normal answer is just go walk around the track. Well, they're not going to get any better. They're not going to improve their physical health. They're not going to get any stronger, and they're not going to get into standards. So I've had symptoms my whole life of varying things, and then they go away, and then they come back. I've seen specialists of all types my whole life, and a lot of physical therapy. So I'm making, I guess, this channel to try and share some of those experiences, and to hopefully just kind of, I feel knowledge is power. That's like almost the core part of my life and my being, is knowledge is power. And even if we don't have all the answers, whatever answer we can get, even if it's a negative on a test, that's still an answer. that's still a data point that still improves understanding overall and over time. And well, I know that there are, several, channels and a bunch of vlogs and blogs, and I feel like it's still not known enough. It's still not out there enough. I didn't even know that EDS existed. I didn't even know there was such a thing as hypermobile or or connected tissue disorders until I was going through a social security disability exam with one of their hired doctors, and she was looking at all my symptoms overall, and she goes, have you heard about this? And I was like, I don't, is that a band? I mean, I don't know what that is. And that was, I want to say 3 years ago, and it changed my life because that she could not diagnose, she could not anything. She gave me a little bit of printed out research and said, go talk to your doctor. But I have VA care, and VA care, as many know, can really vary quite greatly depending on your location and your doctors and specialists and just what's available. There's not a lot of resources available depending on where you're living. And I went to my doctor, and they were like, because I see a resident who's overseen by a doctor, but I'm part of a resident team. So he takes it and he goes to his, supervisor, and I was like, I want to do the research. I want to find out about it. I want to, see what's going on, because I have this laundry list of diagnoses and health problems and injuries, but it's just, I feel like it's almost statistically impossible that they're not related. They have to have some sort of correlation or relation. Now, not everything is correlated or relation, to each other, but it can't be none of it is. It can't be that they're all completely separate things that have nothing to do with each other. I just found that impossible to believe. I had fibromyalgia. That's what I was diagnosed with as a teenager after years and years and years of work. And I was told that my generation was the first generation to even be considered to have fibromyalgia because they didn't think kids could get it. And then it went away when I hit puberty. So I joined the Navy. And the physical traumas and rigors and the environmental traumas of, some of the places we went to and the hazards that we faced seemed to have triggered it and brought it back. And I thought hypermobile and the pain and the things that we can do, I thought that was normal for everybody. I didn't think that was different. So it never occurred to me to bring it up. And I have permanent nerve damage and basically permanent and injuries that are going to continue to just degrade over time, because that's the way it is, because I didn't know any better. I was injury prone. I was clumsy. I tripped over air. I have a sleep disorder similar to narcolepsy. It's in the same category or classification. And well, I just need more sleep. I just fall asleep. I just have poor sleep habits. I didn't know all those years. And so the way that I handled things, I think contributed a lot to permanent issues and a permanent reduction in my quality of life now. And even just not being able to tell the doctors that I have these things and maybe we need to look at different medications, different treatments. These kinds of steroids that you just shot into my spine have been seen to maybe have a little bit of correlation to making things worse and not better for people with my condition. But I didn't know I had the condition. I didn't know. And I got pregnant and I had a kid and I was pregnant and it was so high risk. I had to go see the super high risk counselor, and my joints are already hypermobile. And then you get relaxin added into that for pregnancy. And I mean, I was discussing, I didn't think that the front of your pelvis could dislocate until I was pregnant. And then it never got better after the pregnancy, just continued to get worse. And the smell, the nose of a bloodhound and hypersensitivities, they just continued to get worse because somehow being pregnant kind of triggered these EDS symptoms to kind of come out of the woodwork. And I spent years in sunglasses, nose plugs, earplugs, and the lightest, softest clothing I could get away with, and don't touch me. I could not stand to be hugged. I couldn't stand to be touched. I nursed my son. out of almost an obstinate, stubborn, spiteful, like, I will do this because I want to be able to do this. But every second was agony. And I didn't know any better. And um, things have improved because I talked to my doctors and I found all these vlogs and blogs and all these websites that are doing all this amazing research and all these breakthroughs and genetic counselors. And it's been a hard and incredible journey because I was willing to just, this is it, whatever. But I had my son and he started having these symptoms and he was suffering. And everybody is like, well, it's just normal growing pains. He's just being a fussy baby. He's just doing it for attention. But you can tell when they're doing it for attention and when they are seriously suffering. And you can see the difference. And you can tell, and it's not the normal type of stuff. And thank God I got lucky and had a pediatrician that would listen and was understanding and would agree and help me do research and find things. But that's regular insurance, not VA care. So we couldn't get anything else really approved to even look at without family history, diagnosis, and justification. So I had to then go have the battle of my life with the VA system to try and get some answers and diagnoses so that I could then use those as justification with insurance so we could get my son assessed and looked at and taken care of. So hopefully he can have a better quality of life than I experienced and not have to suffer as much, because I don't want to take away that joy in life that he has. He is so active and wants to do so many things, and he's just so incredible and can't sit still to save his life, and just he needs to do things and help and just be. And I don't want to have to take that away because it's unsafe or because of his symptoms or his suffering. So I created this channel. And I hope you guys like it. I hope you subscribe. I hope you spread it. And I guess I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.